I think one of the most exciting ideas that's occurred since I've been mayor, and even before that, was the whole notion that we could celebrate the Olympic Games here in the city of Atlanta. And we have a committee that has come together and put together a proposal for Atlanta as the host city for the 1996 Olympic Games. And we'd just like to introduce that presentation to you, ask you to turn out your lights and look for a few minutes at the video screens to introduce our initial presentation to the Olympic Committee.
Today, the 18-county Atlanta Metropolitan Statistical Area, MSA, is one of the 5 fastest-growing population centers in the U.S., home now to almost 2.5 million people. By 2010, it is expected to grow to 3.7 million. Atlanta's population has increased 26.7% over the last decade.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up.
The proposed site for the 1996 Summer Olympics. The Hartsfield Atlanta International Airport is located 10 miles west of downtown Atlanta. It is served by 25 passenger airlines, which serve 122 cities throughout the U.S. and abroad, making it the busiest airport in the world. Olympic participants will be able to be transported to the various Olympic villages on MARTA, a high-speed, safe, and secure rapid rail system that also links the suburbs to downtown Atlanta. As the largest metropolitan area in the Southeast, Atlanta serves as the communications, transportation, and administrative center of one of the fastest-growing regions in the nation. 41 countries have official representation in the area through consulates and trade tourism development offices.
This invitation to the amateur sporting world is made with the full support and commitment of our state government. We have in Georgia a commitment to excellence for our citizens and our children, and an unyielding drive to become the best that we can be. We propose an Olympic Games which will demonstrate the efficiency and fiscal soundness of matching private enterprise with governmental cooperation. The Games of Atlanta and Georgia will be an overwhelming success. I invite you to keep Georgia on your mind.
This project is in large measure due to the dedication and vision of an Atlanta attorney, William Porter Payne of the Georgia Amateur Athletic Foundation. And the idea is that the private sector will be able to pull together the resources to make this dream come true. Already the proposal, which represents approximately $200,000 worth of research and effort, printing and filmmaking, has been done at no cost to the city. And what we're looking at is the possibility of a dream coming true in 1996 when Atlanta might host the Olympic Games. Mr. Payne, let me thank you very much. This is the kind of good citizenship we need in this city. Citizens who will take an idea like this and find the money to make them happen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The mayor indicated that the production of the bid document, which you see in front of you, and the video, which you've just witnessed, was created with the help of an awful lot of wonderful people and companies throughout this city and state. Many of those resources and help was made available by the people behind me who were part of our effort, and most of which are members of the advisory board of the Georgia Amateur Athletics Foundation, which we founded about 6 months ago in a concentrated effort to put Atlanta and Georgia on the map as a premier host location for amateur athletic championships of national and international significance. I'd like to introduce, if I may, some of the people behind me very briefly. Instrumental in this project from day one through his personal leadership and guidance and through allowing us some of the resources of his staff is Jerry Bartles, President of the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much, Jerry. Next to Jerry is Jerome Russell, who serves as the general manager of the City Beverage Company of Atlanta and, of course, is on our advisory board, long known for his service to this community. Next to him is John Bevilacqua. John did great service to us, both professionally and as a volunteer, in all the research, of which there were literally thousands of hours, which make up the bid document that we're submitting to the United States Olympic Committee tomorrow. Next is Horace Sibley. Horace is known to you all as a great civic leader in this community, having being affectionately referred to as Mr. Chairman, as he has served as chairman of virtually every volunteer organization in this town. And next is Joe Thomas. Joe is a longtime friend of mine and longtime supporter of this community. Joe has been very generous in his support and his help throughout this effort. Next is Jack Thompson. Jack is Assistant Athletic Director at Georgia Tech, here representing Dr. Rice, and here giving a great endorsement from our fine institution, the Georgia Institute of Technology, in support of this effort. This young lady is Ginger Watkins. Ginger herself is well known in this community for volunteer and community service. Let me say simply that where we are, we would not have gotten where we are today without Ginger's help. Peter Candler. Peter is a wonderful friend of mine and has been with us and instrumental in this project, lending encouragement and financial support from the very beginning. Next we have, of course, the mayor, which the mayor we met with very early when we started this, and I can tell you that never, ever could I ever imagine the receptiveness and the cooperation that we have gained from the mayor and from his staff. And we are proud to represent the city of Atlanta and its great leadership in this undertaking. Representing the governor is his aide and assistant, Lewis Massey. The governor, you saw on the video, made some very strong statements in support of this effort. And Lewis, we're glad to have you here today with us representing the governor. This effort began only several months ago with a belief by some of us, some here with me in this room, that an Olympic Games, an Olympic festival of athletes was a logical happening in Atlanta some 50 to 75 years down the road. We then started thinking, you know, if we could gather together in a collective effort the incredible individual and volunteer and corporate resources that this city is so famous for, that we could accelerate that time and make it happen so that we in this room could in fact enjoy that great festival. It was in that belief and as an outgrowth of that belief that we began the work on this bid documentation that you see, which represents our great city's bid to host the 1996 Games. But that's only a small part of what the Georgia Amateur Athletics Foundation intends to do. At the same time we begin this bid process, we are committing to place Atlanta and Georgia on the map as that premier host location I referred to before, to host major national and international championships. We intend to poll the entire community, the entire corporate community within and without our city and state, in an effort to ask them to identify for us those types of sports and competitions that they would like to see hosted in Atlanta and Georgia. We will also ask them for their financial support and allowing us to, in fact, host these competitions once we're successful in bidding for them. We have begun the process. While some people would say that this current bid is a long shot, we're taking it very seriously, and we are prepared to accept what we hope will be the rewards of this bid and to proclaim our great city as truly the international city that it is. We have some executive press summaries of this document, which I think Neil
Okay, now close up. All right. You ready, Will?
Go ahead.
How are you? All right. Fine. Well,
You're back. How were you doing the impression? That's a big show down there.
My wife, Sarah, you ready?
How are you? Good to see you.
Right, right. And then the line was right there. Went to the World Games and won. Yeah, Braxton crossover turns into more.
I think it's going to be extraordinary. She's entered, she enrolled in Emory University.
Oh, really? Service station, right?
She is going to have to go to NCAA 3
Service station.
Division 3, and she can, she'll be right up in there for gold, silver, bronze.
It's between North
Isn't that fantastic?
What is this? Yeah. On Briar. Well, that's it. In that place is called Horatio House. Oh, yeah?
At age 41 and 24.5. And high jump 5.5 and long jump 19.3.
Yeah.
University's going.
I think it is. He wrote up a complaint.
Shoot, it's Hey, Coach, how you doing? Robert? Hey, Norman.
Hey, Jerry.
We're not on the welcome committee. We just got stopped here at the door. That's all right. Gerald, you settled in? Did you get a picture? Did you? Hey, that's Bruce Lanier. Bruce, how you doing? How are you guys?
Reggie?
Yeah, meeting Monday morning, I hear. 10:30.
I was going over it and
I like that guy that,
You get chubby, you can cook it on the other side like Maynard did. Cheers to Atlanta.
You went out and ran over there? Yeah, like right in your body. Tony was the worst damn thing to do because you're finding it really swollen and stiff. Worse than riding in a car. The altitude just really makes you stiff, and it's a good idea to...
Gentlemen coming in the party.
You won that?
Those affairs and some stuff. I'm running around with a camera now. Germany and Ireland.
that was the one we went out. Well, that's the way you learn.
Now, did you read?
Oh, great. Nice seeing
that's good, we got little people on the.
Yes, that's right.
You may have the wall somebody else can know it's a lot extra there.
Well, I'm gonna make a special deal out of Carol. You know, when all this is over, win or lose, I really want you down there. We need your advice and your counsel. Okay. All right. Well, that'll be good. Yeah, I said work it in with a trip to see. Oh, I should. In fact, they even know that. It'll blow them out. Okay. All right. I'll thank you.
Sun in the mountains.
Oh, where are you going?
And up to a place called Hawk Mountain, which is North Georgia on the Appalachian Trail.
So now you kept the new theory.
Eat breaks and go back out there. And finally, kind of standing around there wondering where they all went.
Now, is there any science in this theory, George?
No,
Not
heavy on
at
theory.
all.
No,
Heavy on the theory part.
He's very strong. He's not big. He wrestled at 185 and played football at 205. He's only about 5'10" and a half.
I hear you.
I got a bottle.
Posterity? No, I don't know.
The before and the
Exaggerating a lot, you know that.
Well, that's quite a place. Nice to have you.
Should have done it playing. Thank God it happened after we played. That would have been a bad part. We were so nice. They do too.
Yeah, now the committee doesn't like this better than many. It's upstairs. You know, if they just can move them up there.
Yeah, if you vote tomorrow, then we really go to work. Familiar with diving?
San Francisco, Heartland events.
I'm coming to the mess. That's no reason. I'm leaving Thursday. I'm leaving Thursday.
Top of the hill, drive a little San Lot. You don't need weights, flakes, spikes, barbells, wrong shoes. It ain't do with home fitness, brother.
We need your help. Anything you can help?
That's right.
Thank you very much for joining us. I know this guy. He got a ring of the swim board, then he started out on the bike.
Probably get a better shot.
That's all I had said. Amateur softball association. There is a slow pitch. In fact, there's several slow pitch organizations. National Slow Pitch Association.
I don't see.
Succeeded in that we have already conveyed the spirit, the message, and the intention that is Atlanta. Whether or not that translates into positive votes tomorrow, we're unsure at this time. Extremely hopeful, prayerful, but anyway, the vote that comes out tomorrow, we are proud of the efforts we've made on behalf of our great city.
I tell him I saw you when I go back to Atlanta. I told him I was coming up here. How you doing? Thanks for joining. Very good. How you doing? All right. Good to see you. It's hard to put it in dollars and cents, but I don't think there's anything we could do that would put Georgia at the top of the world, like bringing the Olympics there in 1996. I can see it transforming our schools, giving our young people something to dream in. You know, we got a kid that jumps 7 feet in 9th grade. We got kids in Atlanta swimming pools that at 12 and 13 are as good as Steve Lundquist was at that age. We need the support, you know, and we need the incentive to pull all these things together. Now, with Coca-Cola and Nabisco and Georgia Pacific and cable network news, the business potential runs in the billions of dollars. I think Minneapolis said they would anticipate between 1.9 and $2.5 billion coming to the Minneapolis area. We haven't done those kind of figures. We're thinking of mainly the values to our kids and the values to the spirit of the region.
Thank you.
Good.
Press that flesh,
How you making it? Oh, you ready? Okay. Hi, Andy Young. How you doing? Hello, hi, Andy Young.
Helmick, distinguished members of the House of Delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Anybody, heard anybody, do I hear from everybody? We've had 700-800 letters. We attempt to answer those letters on a personal basis as we get those that have expressed interest in talking with the committee. And we will hear you also.
As you know, we had after Harvey Schiller left us in the middle of January, we immediately recommended that Dr. Clippinger return as our executive director. We had a mail vote confirmed him, and this is Barrett's first House of Delegates meeting as the executive director of the United States Olympic Committee, and I'd like to welcome him to that position. And I believe the hand is on 12-3. Jimmy Carnes, Site Selection Committee Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's certainly a privilege for me to present the next order of business. Of the procedure we will follow. First of all, Atlanta will present to you, and then we will open, if time is allowed, for some questions from the floor to the Atlanta delegation. Second will be Minneapolis-St. Paul, and the same procedure will be followed. And finally, later, I think at 5 o'clock, the executive board will reconvene and consider the two cities, and a vote will be taken by the executive board only. So you, as the House of Delegates, will get to see an outstanding show and make up your mind, but the executive board will finally cast the vote for you. First of all, I would like to present from the state of Georgia, the city of Atlanta, Georgia, Governor of the state, Governor Joe Frank Harris.
President Helmick, distinguished members of the United States Olympic Committee, ladies and gentlemen, I stand here today not only as governor of the state of Georgia, but I stand here today as a member of the hardworking, dedicated team that has put forth such a concise effort on behalf of Atlanta and on behalf of the Atlanta being selected as the site for the '96 Olympics. I come today also to support the official bid on behalf of Atlanta and the state of Georgia. We're committed to a program that will set new standards for Olympic competition should Atlanta be the site that is chosen. If you chart the progress of the state of Georgia for the last 15 or 20 years and project the future of the state of Georgia, you find that Georgia is a state with tremendous momentum, a state with tremendous enthusiasm, a highly sophisticated, diversified economy that has generated cash flow to more than double the state budget in the past 5 years. Generated the economy that has provided over 540,000 new jobs in the state of Georgia, over 1,100 foreign facilities, 30 international banks. And if you project the future of the state, of course you can see that that momentum is going to be very stable, very functional in the year 1996. We have people in Georgia that know how to work hard. We have people in Georgia that know how to work together, and people in Georgia that share a clear vision of where we're going. And of course, a state and a city of financial security, logistical capability, and an international community that can support the 1996 Olympics. Georgia, of course, is very proud of Atlanta, our capital city, and we share a common commitment to excellence and a commitment to quality. And of course, we share that same enthusiasm for the site of the 1996 Olympics. It's my pleasure at this time to have the opportunity as governor of the state of Georgia to present a former ambassador to the United Nations, a former congressperson, and a person that has represented not only Georgia but the city of Atlanta around the world, and a real international leader, our great mayor of the city of Atlanta, Mayor Andrew Young. Mayor Young.
Mr. President, members of the House of Delegates, Executive Board, ladies and gentlemen, we are here because we want to be an Olympic city. We think we have the makings of an Olympic city. We started out roughly half black and half white, but we found ourselves learning to work together and live together and cooperate to solve our problems. And in the 70s, we opened up to a growing Hispanic community. In the 80s, we find ourselves joined by a significant Asian minority. In our public schools, we have 37 different nationalities living and working together in harmony and peace and prosperity. We think that this is what the Olympics is all about, and this is the global ideal of the Olympics, and we would like for you to work with us and help us to realize the full potential of that ideal. We don't know all that it means, but we offer you ourselves just as we are. Indeed, we offer you a blank check in each of your sports to work with us, to help us develop talent in your sports, and to see what we can produce in a truly all-American city, indeed, a world-class city. Ladies and gentlemen, we offer you Atlanta.
The rising phoenix, symbol of a city built on effort, not the result or product of chance, circumstance, or accident. From its inception, Atlanta has been a city created through planning, design, vision, and the hard work of its people. For over 150 years, Atlanta has been an attitude, an example, a monument, a spirit. Once it sets its mind to a task, things happen. This is a successful city and more. This is a willing city. Atlanta is a city made rich with the heritage of its people, drawn by opportunity and promise. Their lives, accomplishments, and voices have been our strength, our inspiration, and our conscience. The support and encouragement of our amateur athletes goes far beyond pride in our young people. It's an investment in our community, in the advancement of amateur athletics, in our area, and in the advancement of the goals and objectives of the U.S. Olympic Committee. Yet even stronger, it is an affirmation of the Olympic ideals. As a city, as a people, Atlanta presents the essence of the Olympic spirit, that of individuals bonding together in the unified pursuit of excellence and achievement. Our commitment is long-standing. Both Atlanta and Georgia view their young athletes as a long-term investment, and just as valuable if their Olympic moment is in 1988, 1996, or 2096. Location, transportation, facilities, the enthusiasm and support of state and local government, the resources and unqualified backing of the business sector, and the wholehearted and determined desire of the people. That's what makes a city Olympic class. That city is Atlanta. The world knows Atlanta well, with direct flights to 23 international cities. 80% of the U.S. population less than a 2-hour flight from Hartsfield International Airport, the biggest, busiest, and best airport in the world. Always the pivotal transportation hub of the region, the city moves through its progressive rapid transit system, modern interstate highway network, and a city plan that constantly responds to the changing demands of a future-oriented city. Atlanta speaks with many voices. There is a blend of tongues, a fusion of cultures that are the hallmark of an international city. Yet, regardless of the nationality, they all speak the language of progress. More than 50 foreign consulates and trade offices, 29 foreign banks, and well over 1,000 international businesses are based in Georgia. Hard work built this city, and with pride, its citizens have opened their doors to the world. With nearly 50,000 quality hotel rooms, Atlanta joins New York and San Francisco as one of the top 3 convention centers in the nation. Our guests are a welcome part of life in this international city. Atlanta welcomes and entertains more visitors every week than the anticipated attendance of the 1996 Olympic Games. And we do it with style, ease, and with current facilities. By 1996, the city will boast an additional 20,000 new hotel rooms. It's just another indication of a city that's future-oriented. The facilities, transportation, the location are all the most visible strengths of Atlanta, yet the strongest, most determined and vehement support is from our people. This effort was begun and continues as the result of strong and active public support and the leadership of full-time sports-minded volunteers who have made their commitment a priority in their lives. Atlanta is a city with the tradition, history, and reputation for accomplishing its goals. We share with the United States Olympic Committee the unselfish commitment to amateur sports, the intense desire to bring the games back to the United States. It's a dream that not only we can share, but together we can achieve. The impact of the 1996 Olympic Games would reach far beyond Atlanta and Georgia. As the first summer games on the East Coast, support and participation would flow from throughout the entire region. With 8 of every 10 people in this country less than a 2-hour flight from Atlanta, millions would view this as their first Olympic Games, close enough to touch, support, and to join in the total Olympic effort, to become themselves a part of the Olympic family. After all, the essence of the Olympic Games is in the human spirit, the inspiration and ideals they instill in every person who strives, competes, coaches, or cheers. How better to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the modern Olympic Games than in a city rising toward the future? A city filled with people who strive, nurture, encourage, compete, and succeed. Atlanta.
We have raised a brave and beautiful city indeed. Hi, I'm Billy Payne, chairman of the Georgia Amateur Athletics Foundation, and I'm honored to be here before you today. During the next several minutes, Mayor Young and I will present to you the story of Atlanta and the opportunity it presents to the amateur sporting world. It's a story about which we are noticeably proud, and one which has captured the hearts of nearly 3 million people who call Atlanta home. Which will make amateur sports a high priority in our community, which will commit the considerable resources of our state, city, and private sectors to the development of amateur athletes, and equally as important, which will showcase in our community the volunteerism and civic pride which has made our city great. Yet the hosting of the Olympic Games is much more than just an honor. It is an awesome responsibility. The city chosen as the domicile of that torch for those glorious days of summer becomes the trustee, the safekeeper of the only multinational event in the world that truly works. We in Atlanta want that responsibility, dream of that opportunity. But more than just willing, we are qualified. Qualified because we are determined and committed. Consider Atlanta's rich tradition of stubborn determination in the face of challenge, not unlike the passion to excel that distinguishes Olympic caliber performers from other athletes. Our history is rich with many such examples. A commitment to rejuvenate our downtown area when other city centers were dying. An effort to earn front-runner status nationwide in employment, economic, and population growth. And a decision to build the world's biggest, busiest, and best international airport at a time when few people predicted Atlanta's emergence as a top contender in the international tourism and convention business. That same commitment, which has been established by our past, exists in our present and extends into our future. A commitment to become the best that we can be, not to view our proud sports history with complacency, but as a catalyst from which to inspire a greater devotion and participation in amateur sports. To accelerate that devotion by providing your sport and your athletes with a cooperative and appreciative forum in which to compete and develop. Atlanta's amateur sports future contains a commitment to the Olympic Festival, hopefully the World University Games, strong relationships with all the national governing bodies, and certainly many, many national and international championships and events. Our very active 1988 calendar already includes, among others, regional, national, and international volleyball, handball, cycling, figure skating, wrestling, gymnastics, swimming, track and field, and tennis competitions and events, and will serve as a basis upon which our foundation will direct Georgia's increasing involvement in amateur sports. All these efforts of our state, city, and foundation will move forward aggressively without regard to the outcome of this bid attempt. You have our word on it. And qualified because we are capable. Should Atlanta win the privilege of hosting the Olympic Games, among the first concerns of our many domestic and international visitors will be logistics, getting to Atlanta and getting around in Atlanta once they are there. Well, as many of you have already discovered, Atlanta's accessibility and local transportation capability is unsurpassed by any American city. We are easy to reach from virtually any domestic or foreign point of origin. Our Hartsville International Airport is the world's busiest and most efficient, serving 55 million passengers each year, with a projected use of by 75 million passengers in 1996. Over 3,000 flight operations per day connect Atlanta directly to 23 international cities in 14 countries of Europe, the Far East, Central America, and the Caribbean. As pointed out to you earlier in our video, more than 80% of the U.S. population lives within a 2-hour flying time from Atlanta. By the year 2010, 110 million people will call the southeastern United States home, and all will live within 1-hour flying time from Atlanta. Hartsville International Airport is located just 9 miles from downtown Atlanta, a short 15-minute drive to most of our competitive venues and premier hotel accommodations. By next month, our airport will be connected to downtown by our ultra-modern rapid transit rail system. This same modern transit system and complementary bus system will move hundreds of thousands of our visitors and Olympic officials to and from most of our competitive venues and Olympic Village. Our guests and visitors will choose among 60,000 hotel rooms available in Atlanta by 1996, a hotel capacity which currently enables us to host every week more visitors than the anticipated attendance for the 1996 Games. And qualified because of our first-class, state-of-the-art competitive venues and support facilities. Archery, modern pentathlon, road and time cycling will take place at our world-famous Stone Mountain Park, the third most visited resort in America. Track and field and soccer finals will be conducted in a new track and field stadium, which we will build for the Olympic Games. This stadium will be yet another shining example of the public-private partnership which has literally built our great city. We will host the volleyball and badminton events in the already funded and soon-to-be-built Gwinnett County Civic and Sports Arena, located in the heart of America's fastest-growing county. Our downtown 60,000-seat Atlanta Fulton County Stadium will be the host venue for baseball and the final show jumping equestrian event. Our new 72,000-seat Dome Stadium, as the world's largest cable-suspended dome facility, will provide an ideal climate-controlled venue for the gymnastics and basketball competition. This stadium will be located adjacent to our Georgia World Congress Center and 2 rapid rail transit stations. The boxing competition will be held in our modern 17,000-seat Omni Coliseum, the site of the 1980 Olympic boxing trials. Our internationally acclaimed 4-star Callaway Gardens Resort will play host to the rowing, canoeing, and 3-day equestrian events. Callaway Gardens offers a rowing and canoeing lake which will become the nation's premier competitive venue. Track cycling is scheduled for our existing East Point Velodrome, modernized to meet international specifications and conveniently located close to our rapid transit rail station. Swimming, synchronized swimming, and diving will be conducted on the Emory University campus adjacent to the existing aquatic center in the Ernest W. Woodruff Physical Education Center, also the host venue for water polo and team handball. This new facility will be designed as a multi-purpose facility to ensure its continuing use for major aquatic events requiring a 6,000 seating capacity and continuing use by Emory University and the entire Atlanta community for classroom, conference, and performing arts needs. The Georgia World Congress Center will be the host venue for fencing, with one of its 9 exhibition halls configured to accommodate at least 5,000 spectators. The field hockey competition will be hosted on the Georgia Tech campus at Grant Field, an artificial playing surface facility which can accommodate 46,000 spectators. The modern Cobb County Civic Center will host the judo competition. Shooting events are planned for our DeKalb County firing range, which will be modernized to meet international specifications. The Georgia State University Basketball Coliseum will be the host venue for the table tennis competition. The Atlanta University campuses adjacent to downtown Atlanta will host the Taekwondo competition in the John H. Lewis Fieldhouse. And tennis is currently scheduled for the University of Georgia Tennis Center, perennial home of the NCAA Division I championships. Numerous alternate venues for tennis are available within Atlanta. Weightlifting will be hosted in the ideal venue of the Atlanta Civic Center in the heart of downtown Atlanta. Alexander Coliseum on the Georgia Tech campus will serve as the host venue for wrestling. And our very own Golden Isles of Georgia will provide a beautiful and excellent venue for the yachting competition. Many of these facilities, which I have just mentioned, have been made possible by recent commitment from concerned and dedicated governmental entities determined to build for Atlanta the finest competitive facilities and arenas. For example, our state, City of Atlanta, and Fulton County have already appropriated their $48 million share of our new Dome Stadium, scheduled to begin construction later this summer. In addition, the state has just appropriated $45 million to enlarge our Georgia World Congress Center. This one-of-a-kind facility, with over 2 million square feet and currently designated as the main press center and for the fencing competition, is capable of hosting up to 9 simultaneous athletic competitions with seating requirements of 4,000 to 9,000 for each such competition. The state is currently spending $22 million to enlarge our Stone Mountain Park. Suburban Gwinnett County has recently passed a local option sales tax, which allocated $27 million to build their new civic and sports arena. All of these very recent appropriations and expenditures for sports and sports-related facilities totaling $147 million, not just in anticipation of an Olympic Games, but because we are a sports-minded community determined to become the best that we can be, to give our athletes every advantage possible. And there will be more, for a city designed for the future builds for the future. And qualified because we can implement a successful financial plan to host the games in Atlanta. Because the necessary infrastructure is already in place, and because we need so few new competitive venues, a primarily privately financed Olympic Games will be successful in Atlanta. Atlanta's attractiveness to major corporate sponsorship is unquestioned. Our East Coast location translates into larger numbers of potential visitors, therefore increased opportunities for ticket sales, television receipts, product affiliation and exposure, all resulting in reasonably anticipatable increased revenues. And what of the support from our local business, foundation, and philanthropic community? Can we be assured of their support? You bet we can. History, of course, is the best teacher, and Atlanta's history is full of many examples of private resources being offered in support of public causes. In recent years, for example, Atlanta's private sector has endowed the universities directly involved with our bid with hundreds of millions of dollars. These same private sector funds have supported the arts and culture in our community by the providing for the recent construction of numerous world-acclaimed museums and performing arts centers, and are participating in the funding of the construction of the competitive venues in our bid in an amount expected to exceed $100 million by the end of this summer. Only one conclusion is possible. Our private sector, led by some of the world's largest and most sports-conscious corporations, has always supported those causes which were in the best interest of our community. And no better cause exists than the promotion of world friendship and cooperation through sport. And qualified because in all respects we have the right climate for Olympic competition. Atlanta's elevation as the third highest of all major U.S. cities operates to moderate the extremes of heat and humidity normally associated with southern cities. Our proximity to the Appalachian Mountains, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Atlantic Ocean results in an average summertime high temperature of 86 degrees, an average summertime daily temperature of 77.5 degrees, with less rainfall than the national average. Yes, we like our summers warm in Atlanta, and rarely are we disappointed. But we have compared our heat and humidity with every city which has ever been awarded the Summer Olympic Games, and have discovered that our temperatures are essentially equal to those of St. Louis, Rome, Athens, Tokyo, Los Angeles, and Barcelona. And our humidity is equivalent to that of St. Louis, Paris, Berlin, Tokyo, Los Angeles, and Barcelona. The right climate in all respects. And qualified because we take seriously our reputation for hospitality. While the Olympic Games are most often attributed to a city, they are in fact the product of the people who put them on. A measure of their sacrifice, their concern, and yes, their hospitality. In Atlanta, the highest compliment we can pay a visitor is to invite him into our home as if a member of our own family. It's a tradition we are proud of in Atlanta, and one we shall once again demonstrate during an Atlanta Olympic Games, when the citizens of Atlanta will invite the families of the athletes to be their guests in their homes during the entire duration of the Games. What better way to recognize and applaud the long effort and tremendous sacrifice of these families of the athletes? You see, when we in Atlanta present the ceremonial key to our city, it unlocks our hearts as well. And while the Olympics belong to the world, we in Atlanta recognize that they are for the athletes. And we intend to spare no expense or effort to ensure that an Atlanta Olympics has as its first priority the needs and wants of the athletes. Our 2 Olympic villages will be the most modern and certainly the most beautiful in recent memory. The athletes will be welcomed and prepared with unrelenting attention to detail. Each village will offer uncrowded, first-class, secure accommodations for 10,000 athletes and officials. With the completion of our planned rapid rail extension to Emory University, both villages will have immediate and excellent access to our rapid transit system. In short, the athletes and all of our Olympic villages will find true meaning in our proud slogan that visitors come to Atlanta for a good time and stay for a lifetime. Atlanta, all of these things and much, much more. And now a man who, given the opportunity, can carry the message of Atlanta to the world, our mayor, Andrew Young.
Whose time had come. It was an idea that was right for our city. It was an idea that had been in the hearts of many of us, including myself, from early childhood. I grew up in New Orleans, and Ralph Metcalf came to New Orleans from the 1936 Olympic Games and began coaching at Xavier University. And the earliest heroes of my life were the people of that Games. I was never one of those to reach the Olympics. And yet, as I look back, the struggle, the competitive sports, the discipline that helped me get through high school and college, the commitment to excellence in sports, though never quite achieved, essentially has passed on over into other areas of life where competition isn't quite so stiff. But the thing that I think we see in the Olympics for the state of Georgia is the fulfillment of something our governor talks about. We've launched on a program of quality basic education, and that program of quality basic education needs more than money. It needs vision, it needs discipline, it needs motivation. And what better vehicle for vision, discipline, and motivation than developing a statewide program of amateur sports competition? We think that we can develop an American model of amateur sports competition. We think that somehow working together with the raw material and human resources of our state, we can dedicate ourselves between now and 1996 or the year 2000 or the year 2004 or whenever to beginning to turn out young people that will be competitive athletes in a wide variety of Olympic sports. And basically that's what our commitment to you is, to work with you, to develop our young people, to take from the 8 million people of the state of Georgia, and maybe not with the big state money and all of the contrappings of East Germany, but through the kind of volunteerism and dedication, the support of families, and the support of a region that is known for its cooperation between government and business, between its universities and its private and public educational institutions. We think we can develop a model of youth development that will not only serve as an example for the entire Olympic movement, but that will certainly help our state to develop its human resources to go along with the tremendous economic development and infrastructure that previous generations have developed before ours. We've also been very consciously an international city. Our 29 colleges and universities have been turning out international students for more than 100 years. And so in many places of the world, there are people now on international Olympic committees and in decision-making positions in other governments that relate very intimately and warmly to Atlanta. Without any anticipation of the present opportunity, we extended our Atlanta hospitality to those athletes from the Southern Hemisphere before the 1984 Olympic Games. And we ran a pre-Olympic training camp at Emory University for athletes of 21 different nations who came to Atlanta 6 weeks before going to Los Angeles to get somewhat acclimatized both to the diet and the culture of the United States of America before entering into the competition in Los Angeles. We have found that there's been no idea that we have put before the people of Atlanta and the people of Georgia that has received the kind of immediate response that we have received from this Olympic idea. And the recent polling that we did indicated an 84% favorability from the citizens of Atlanta. We think with that kind of mandate from our citizens, and with the kind of support we've received from the governor, from the county, from the city, from the private sector, and from our academic institutions, that we're ready to work with you to bring the 26th Olympiad to the United States, and particularly to the city of Atlanta in 1996. But if not 1996, we're with you for the long haul. We're with you till whenever it happens. Because right here in the heart of the East Coast of the United States, we would make the Olympic Games more accessible to more people in more places all over the world through more media than possibly has ever been possible before. And we think that we represent a city that does potentially fulfill the Olympic ideal. We really need your help. We need you to work with us, to show us what we can and should do. And we want to work with you to make this dream come true. We thank you for your support.
I think one of the most important things the city can offer to us Summer Olympic Games is their hospitality, the embracing of the people, not only from our country, our athletes, but visitors from other countries and other athletes from all around the world. And I think Atlanta would be an exceptional place for that to happen.
I really enjoy Atlanta because the people here are so friendly and so open, and I think that would be a really good way to greet the world.
Atlanta truly is an international city. Delegations from all over the world have consulates here. It would be fantastic. This is a major league city.
You got people from every nationality here, so people will feel at home. Athletes will feel at home here.
The people are very friendly. It's a friendly city, and the people are really warm.
The community, the people, the climate, it's just a fantastic place.
The people are great. It's a very clean city. It's beautiful. And obviously extremely active. There's a lot to do here.
Everything about Atlanta's great. Everything. The weather, the people.
The spirit of this country is in this city.
Your facilities are terrific. The people are warm.
This is a beautiful city.
I think the town is really magnificent, all the downtown hotels.
I believe with the transportation facilities, such as Hartsfield Airport, being the largest international airport in the United States, you would have no problem in bringing in athletes from all around the world.
It's a clean city. They've got great transportation.
There's more hotels in a 4-block radius than there is in any other city.
It's just beautiful here. I think you ought to share it with the whole world.
It would be fantastic, not only for our country, but also for the city of Atlanta and also for the entire Olympic movement.
Come on, Olympics to Atlanta.
Atlanta's the world's greatest city. It gives everybody from a different culture a chance to experience what Atlanta has to offer. And it's a great experience.
The personality, that's number one.
I just love Atlanta.
The Olympics in Atlanta, 1996. I'll be there. I hope you are too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a few moments that we will open for questions to Chairman Billy Payne, and I would like for you to direct those specifically to his organizing committee, and any question to our site selection will be at the Executive Board meeting. Open for question. Seeing none, to Governor Joe Frank Harris, to Mayor Andrew Young, and to Chairman Billy Payne and the entire Georgia Amateur Athletic Foundation, thank you for the excellent performance and your commitment to the Olympic movement. We're going to take just a few moments to allow Minneapolis, St. Paul to set up, and the moment when they're ready, we will start. Please do not leave the room.
Excuse me, wait.
Oh,
no, we're continuing on with the meeting. We'll take up the, we have a little bit of time in between the presentations. Yeah, good. During the break in between these presentations, we'll take the consular's report. Dick Klein. Yeah, good.
We're going to try to have a visual presentation, some slides. I don't see them on the screen yet from behind us. There it is.
You know, I bet you guys can't recognize that. He's the only one that's still there. Where?
I think we have, obviously, with the noise next door, we have the information. The announcement on the deliberations on the Bid City site will be made by the chairman of the USOC's Site Selection Committee, Jimmy Carnes of Gainesville, Florida. He'll give you a little bit of insight into the committee's deliberations and the result, and be available for questions and answers. Jimmy Carnes?
Should we wait until the group gets down here?
Go ahead and make the announcement, and it's going to take a while for them to come over, and we'll bring them into the group once they come in.
Well, just down the way, we have someone that's announcing to the two cities that have gathered together, and it's my pleasure to tell you the city that has been selected by the Executive Board of the United States Olympic Committee. The city that will be advanced by the USOC will be Atlanta, Georgia. We had two excellent cities that came before the Executive Board with a presentation that was truly outstanding. They have both made great strides in their efforts to bring the Olympics back to the United States. We truly appreciate it, and we know that the site selection committees visit around this country, meeting with local organizing committees and telling them about the Olympic movement, where we have over 500 national and international events available each year, that the Olympic movement is spreading across this land. We want to encourage all cities to stay involved and continue the great promotions. Minnesota has been a great, great leader in the promotion of amateur sports, building of facilities. They have an excellent organization. They have a wonderful group of people that have been working to make this happen, but we had to make a decision, and that decision, of course, was Atlanta, Georgia, with some of the many, many things that they have, and I will just give you a few, and we certainly do not want to say that any negative, because there's such a positive thing with both of those cities. But I will tell you, the Site Selection Committee, in viewing these cities, would tell you that Atlanta has tremendous organizational ability, quality venues, hotel accommodations, airline availability, in-place rapid transit, national press center, and a proven ability to handle large numbers of people. Therefore, that was some of the things that went together in making the decision by the USOC Executive Board, and I could tell you that Minneapolis, St. Paul has many of those same things that certainly would contribute to holding an outstanding Olympics. And we felt as a committee that we had two cities that were capable of hosting the Olympics, but we had to make a final decision, and we are very proud of Atlanta and congratulate them on this selection.
Thank you.
Was Mr. Payne far behind? He's right.
While we're waiting for Billy Payne, I'd like to bring the mayor of Atlanta forward, and I'm sure he has a comment, and I'm sure he'd like to respond to your questions and answers. Mayor.
Thank you very much. It really is a wonderful opportunity, and we are extremely grateful to the United States Olympic Committee for having the faith and trust in the city of Atlanta to designate us as our hope for bringing the Olympics back to the United States as soon as possible, preferably in 1996. It was a tremendous victory for our city because it was a dream that a group of citizens had 15 months ago, and under the leadership of Billy Payne, they pulled together both personal resources, corporate resources, government resources for the city and the state. But most of all, they did a very professional job of analyzing and realizing the tremendous venue that already exists in and around the city of Atlanta. We think that this is going to be extremely good for the entire Olympic movement. And it's, well, the work just starts now. But if you got a bunch of guys like this that are, stay right up here, that are really there putting the work together, and Ginger, won't you come on up too, please? And that this has been a kind of committee that really represents the voluntarism that the Olympics is all about. And we're pleased that the committee saw that and saw the potential that exists in and around Atlanta, and we think we can bring the games to Atlanta and to the United States in 1996. Billy, would you?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say that we met some good friends with the Minneapolis-St. Paul effort. Delighted to say and feel assured that they're going to be major players in amateur sports. We admire them, admire the efforts of their governor in making amateur sports a big priority in their community. We have now done the same thing for Atlanta. One thing I'd like to clarify, however, is that Atlanta has a rich amateur sports history. What Atlanta has never had, and why we put together this foundation, was to bring it under one umbrella, to provide one resource base, and other to inspire and to encourage and in fact promote amateur athletics. This foundation provides that vehicle. It was modeled after the Indiana Sports Corporation, who we hold in such high regard, and we certainly hope that as the years progress, our foundation, the work that we do, not only in representing America bidding for the Olympics, but the work that we do for and on behalf of our kids and providing them vehicles and ways to develop in sports will be as highly regarded as has the job that they've done in Indianapolis. Be delighted to entertain any questions if anybody has any.
What do you think put you over the top today? Was it the efforts of the last couple of months? What did it?
I don't think I could realistically measure or gauge the time within which we started gaining ground. I would say the entire 15 months that we have worked specifically on this effort has been a gradual, uphill, ever increasing and successfully increasing effort on the part of the city of Atlanta. Always gathering more resources, always gathering more volunteers, and each and every time someone who really and truly participated. Atlanta, as most of you know, I hope, has a great tradition of volunteerism. When we talked about it today, we did so seriously and from our bottom of our hearts. There's an unwritten rule in Atlanta that while you can be successful in business as well, you better be prepared to volunteer some, because we'd like to give back some to the community, that of which we take from the community.
Do you think it helped very much to have the USOC meetings in Atlanta in January? Brought in all those NUB people anyway?
I can't answer that truthfully. At the time, we were under such restrictions about not mentioning our bid attempt or not lobbying. I really don't know the answer to that. I would hope that they felt a sense, as does everybody who comes to Atlanta, of what Southern hospitality is all about. You know, you take a walk through our airport and a ride on our rapid transit system, and you become fairly convinced of our transportation capabilities. And I know they all at least went through the airport, so I'd say in that respect, certainly, they became aware of Atlanta as a major league city.
There have been indications already that the United States doesn't have much of a chance in 1996 to land this site. Do you think you're starting a couple steps backwards in this process now?
Well, that question was asked me, let's see, we've been doing this 14 and a half months ago, and the conclusion that we all gathered at that time, and one that we still intently hold to, is that if you don't make the effort, you certainly don't have a chance. I believe that the stronghold that some people perceive some of the European countries have on the 96 games is loosening. We believe that Atlanta's emergence with the proven international capability of our mayor will make us, right out of the blocks, starting this very moment, a formidable international candidate. And we intend to bring the games back to America in 1996.
Mr. Mayor, as a sidelight to that question, do you see any winning vote coalition that you could help put together? I mean, let's forget the fact that you guys are going to say, yes, we have a chance.
Oh, yeah, I do.
What about in votes, though?
Yeah, well, let me say that we haven't really developed a strategy for, say, counting the votes. But I just happened to be in Japan 2 weeks ago on a trade mission, and so I just happened to visit the two Japanese members of the International Olympic Committee. They were very appreciative of that. We just happened to have the King and Queen of Sweden in Atlanta last week, and I mentioned to her, to the Queen, Your Majesty, that we would like very much to get the Swedish Olympic Committee supportive of Atlanta's bid. And the Swedish member of the committee happened to be sitting at the next table, and she called him over and she said, we'd really like to, you two to get together. And what we find is that with more than 1,100 international companies located in the state of Georgia, it's in a number of people's interest to be related to Atlanta. I don't know the Dutch committee person yet, but there are 140 Dutch companies in Georgia, and I plan to get with those 140 Dutch companies and let them help us convince the Dutch representatives. And I think we're going to do that. We also hosted, without any thought of bringing the Olympics to Atlanta in 1984, we hosted an Olympic training camp for athletes of 21 different countries. We had athletes from Latin America, athletes from Africa, athletes from the Middle East. We did that largely because we suddenly realized it was winter down in the southern hemisphere, and that athletes coming into Atlanta, into Los Angeles with a week or two to prepare were not going to be able to make it in the heat. We also knew that there were certain food adjustments that people would have to make to American-style cooking that would impact on competition. So when we extended the invitation to athletes from the Southern Hemisphere to train for 6 weeks in Atlanta, we got a response from 21 countries. Atlanta paid for that until it got to be pretty good, and then USIA decided that they would like to invite some more athletes, and they began to contribute. So we have had a history of working with the countries of the world in amateur sports, and we'll just try to build on that.
A lot of people aren't familiar with the selection process. Could you tell me how much you collected and spent to get to this point right now, and how much you plan to spend in the future?
The estimate of the amount of money that we spent in the 15 months that I referenced, inclusive mostly of document bid preparation, some functions that we had for and in honor of the Olympic Committee, in cash and in kind, probably $250,000. We have heard estimates ranging from $5 to $10 million to bid internationally. We believe that also includes contributions in kind as opposed to just cash. We think we can be more cost effective than those numbers, and we would intend to be, but we are going to raise the amount of money required to adequately and positively and hopefully successfully represent the United States interest internationally. Yes, sir.
Are you aware that you're maybe starting this, looking start on the road as 2004 without the undivided support of your own hemisphere, since Canada is a contender in 1996 and probably 2000, and San Juan has also expressed interest in the year 2004, and generally an American candidate might be able to count on some support from its own hemisphere, and here you're going to have, everybody is going to have a different agenda for why they might not want it to land in 96 so that it can go someplace else in another year.
We counted that possibility and decided to go for it. And I've been accused of being a third worlder anyway, so maybe it's not my hemisphere. I may have a lot more support in my hemisphere than, you know, we don't know. Last night, though, at our party, we were very pleased that in extending invitations to the diplomatic community here, that we got representatives from Europe, from Latin America, from Africa, and Asia, and the Caribbean, including Cuba. And you look at say our great natural resource, Coca-Cola. They're well connected everywhere. You look at Ted Turner and Cable Network News and the involvement that Ted had with the Goodwill Games. That's I mean, there's a tremendous potential there. RJR Nabisco has been one of the great sponsors of sporting events around the world. They're now located in Atlanta. Delta Airlines is flying nonstop to Seoul. Well, one stop to Seoul from Atlanta every day. And we're going to find ways to maximize the potential of our airport, for instance. I'd like to transit just about every member of the International Olympic Committee through Atlanta on the way to Seoul. Whether we'll be able to do that or not, I don't know. But we're going to put forth a full court press from this day forward. And what the committee did was look around and marshal all of the existing resources. And I think they were very much aware and were very... I do what my leader tells me.
He's going.
When will your international bid committee be formed?
Well, our international committee is essentially formed. It'll we've already appointed a task force. We did some weeks ago to study the possibilities, the planning, the structure of the ongoing involvement should we win. Charlie Battle on our executive committee, who's in the back of the room, is the chairman of that committee. Putting a little pressure on Charlie, but he's been working diligently at it. And within the next 30 days, we expect a report from Charlie, which will formalize not only our strategy, but that full committee. There will be additions, certainly. The effort, thankfully, becomes broader than the Georgia Amateur Athletic Foundation.
Will you be chairman of the bid committee?
I don't know. Charlie hadn't decided that yet, so I would be honored to be asked, certainly. It's been a great effort, not only for me, as far as pleasurable and satisfying and rewarding, but I think for all of us.
Do you anticipate any city or state funds being used on your bid?
Well, we have not on our bid, no. I would think that certainly our intention is that the bidding process will remain, as it has to date, totally private.
How about the games themselves, if you land? Are you hoping for a totally private game?
Well, certainly we're hoping for that. In reviewing all the cities that bid this time around, I was amazed that everybody's budgets were so identical and seemed to follow the same format, which of course is the LA model. We would hope to do it privately, yes. I think there's some questioning of timing about who has to make commitments first, and those are issues that with the support we have in our state and our city, that are not going to be difficult for us to deal with.
We've got a history, though, of public-private partnership that the government has been willing to guarantee bonds that for projects that, when run right, pay for themselves. We spent $2 billion on an airport that way. We're in the process of, well, having built one stadium and building a dome stadium that way, where the government is the guarantor, but the majority of the funds essentially are private.
So you don't think the city of Atlanta would have any problem in guaranteeing being the guarantor for the Olympics?
No, I don't. And there are facilities, for instance, that we know we need anyway in the city that is facilities that are being planned by the surrounding counties, by the universities, and all of these will now be slightly modified for the international specifications. But it's and we're going to have to depend a great deal on the U.S. Olympic Committee and the chairpersons of the various sports that make up the Olympic movement. And what we said was, we volunteered to become a part of the Olympic family, to represent the United States in quest for the 1996 Olympic Games, and we would work with the U.S. Olympic Committee over the next decade or further to do whatever we have to do to make this a reality in our city.
Do you think you get any mileage, humorous or otherwise, out of the involvement of your Athens in bidding for the 1996 games?
We thought that was the Athens they were talking about.
Billy says we thought that that was the Athens they were talking about.
1985, we hosted in Colorado Springs a seminar for potential bid cities. And as we close tonight, I will read the list of those cities which attended that meeting. San Francisco, New York, Indianapolis, Atlanta, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Denver, Nashville, Columbus, Houston, Washington, Miami, Cleveland, Detroit, Los Angeles. That began our bid process in 1985.